Welcome to Life Pebbles. Learn to understand yourself and others. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and sometimes we don't even realize we have crossed this line. Arrogance, unlike confidence, often pushes people away. It's subtle, unintentional, and can be easily missed. We all know someone who seems arrogant, but they may not necessarily truly be like that. They may just be giving off that vibe without even realizing it. These are 8 common and subtle behaviors of those who unknowingly give off an arrogant vibe. Stick around, and you might discover some surprising and very useful things about yourself or others. Number 1, dominating conversations. We all love a good chat, but there is a huge difference between being a great conversationalist and monopolizing every discussion. Arrogance often slips in when we become so engrossed in our own ideas and experiences that we forget to acknowledge the other person's input. It's easy to fall into this pattern without realizing it, especially if we are passionate about the topic at hand. Do your own conversations look like this? How much did you learn about the person you were talking to? Remember, conversations are about give and take. Start a habit of keeping an eye on how much you are speaking compared to others. If you find yourself dominating the conversation, try to open your mind up to curiosity and put yourself into the mindset of listening instead. Number 2, barely listening to others. I remember I met up with an old friend for coffee. We hadn't seen each other in years, and I was eager to catch up. As we sat down to chat, I noticed something off about our conversation. It seemed like every time I started to share a story or an update about my life, she would quickly divert the conversation back to herself. At first, I thought it was just excitement from catching up, but after a while, it became clear that she wasn't genuinely interested in what I had to say. She was barely listening and only waiting for her turn to speak to put the spotlight back on her. Of course, she did have plenty of interesting things to share, and I was glad that she had so much going. But what my friend was unknowingly displaying was a subtle sign of arrogance. By not actively listening, she gave off the impression that her stories mattered more than mine. Number 3, excessive name dropping. In the world of psychology, there is a term called basking in reflected glory. This refers to the act of associating ourselves with successful and high-status individuals or groups to improve our own image. One common way people do this is by name dropping. It's human nature to want to impress others, and mentioning that influential people can seem like an effective way to do so. However, excessive name dropping can easily come across as arrogant. It gives the impression that you are using others' accomplishments to boost your own status, rather than letting your own actions speak for themselves. Being aware of how often you are name dropping can help curb any unintentional arrogance. Remember, your worth is not determined by who you know, but rather by who you are as a person. Number 4, constant need to be right. We all have a natural desire to be right. It's a basic human instinct that helps us navigate through life. However, when this desire turns into a constant need, it can come off as arrogant. Those who unknowingly give off an arrogant vibe often display a subtle yet consistent need to be right. They argue their point of view even when it's not necessary, and struggle to accept when they are wrong. It's important to remember that being wrong is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, admitting when you are wrong shows humility and willingness to learn. So next time you find yourself in a disagreement, consider whether your need to be right is worth the potential cost to your relationships. Number 5, lack of empathy. At the core of any strong relationship is empathy. It's the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's about seeing things from their perspective, not just your own. When we fail to show empathy, it can often come across as arrogance. We might appear self-centered or dismissive of other people's experiences or emotions. I've seen friendships strained and connections lost due to a lack of empathy. It's heartbreaking to see, especially when the person doesn't realize the impact of their behavior. We must never forget that everyone is fighting their own battles. A little empathy can go a long way in showing others that you care and respect their feelings as much as your own. It's a small change that can make a world of difference in how you are perceived. Number 6, always needing to have the last word. I've been guilty of this more times than I'd like to admit. Whether it's in a heated debate or a simple conversation, I used to feel the urge to always have the last say. It was as if having the final word meant I won. But over time, I realized that this habit wasn't helping me win. Instead, it was pushing people away. They felt like I was more interested in winning the conversation than understanding their perspective. I know it can be hard to resist at first, but next time this urge comes up, hold back and let the other person be right. Number 7, constantly comparing themselves to others. We live in a competitive world, and it's natural to compare ourselves to others occasionally. But when it becomes a regular habit, it doesn't just come off as arrogant. It's also extremely unhealthy. Constantly comparing yourself can lead to anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. Unfortunately, this can only worsen the toxic environment that comparison creates, because you may use comparisons to try to boost your self-esteem, back up and prove your superiority, or downplay others' achievements. But it's tough in the world of picture-perfect online posts, but everyone is on their own unique journey. Comparisons never tell the full story, and they won't make your life any better either. Instead, strive to celebrate your achievements and those of others without turning them into a competition. It's a healthier and more respectful approach that fosters positive relationships. Number 8, unwillingness to learn from others. The world is full of knowledge, and no one person holds all the answers. The most successful people understand this, and are always open to learning from others. However, when someone feels they have nothing to learn from those around them, it can come off as arrogance. This unwillingness to learn can limit personal growth and create barriers in relationships. Never underestimate the value of learning from others, regardless of their status or experience. Everyone you meet knows something you don't. Embrace that, and you will not only avoid coming off as arrogant, but you will also enrich your own life with new knowledge and perspective.